So when were you introduced to cannabis? How old? How did it all go down?
It's a long story.
That's all right. Let's shoot, man.
So we're gonna start from the beginning. So my first time being introduced to cannabis, I was in 7th grade. It was the end of 7th grade, going into 8th grade, and my older sister had like a group of friends that she hung out with, and then my group of friends were her friends' little brothers. So we were just hanging out at my friend's house one day, and my cousin walks up to me. She goes, "Yo, Frank, you want to smoke?" She's like, "Me and your sister have this bet. She said you wouldn't. I said you would." So my first time I go outside, it's just a group of people in a circle, like back in the day. Everybody's passing around this joint. And I'm like, what is this thing? And like the thing that got me was the smell. I smelled it. I said, I never smelled anything like this. What is this? So I go over. They're like, here, hit this. And I look at it. I don't know what to do. I'm looking at it. I try to hit it. I don't inhale it at all. They're like, what are you doing? You got to inhale it. I'm like, what does that even mean? So I go to hit it again, and my sister's friend looks at me. She's like, act like your mom's coming right now. I look up and I go, and then that was my first inhale of weed. I start coughing for 5 minutes, and I go back inside. I start feeling weird. I'm like, what is this feeling? I'm all stoned. I didn't know. So after that night, a couple nights later, my friends are like, yo, we got to get some weed. So it ended up being a good friend of mine. His friend was one of the ones that had it. So all my friends are scared. They're like, who's going to get it? I'm like, I'll go get it. So I go to the car, I grab the weed, blah, blah, blah. We get the weed. Now we're sitting here. We're 13, 12-year-old kids. How are we going to smoke? So we're putting together ideas. We're looking around the house. We find some computer paper. Like, oh, maybe we could roll this up. So then we roll up the computer paper. We smoke a joint. Like, oh, this is awesome. We're sitting there. We're laughing. We're having the best time. We end up going to the store. My friend had $20 on him. We spent all $20 on candy. We come back. We got a big bag of candy. We're sitting there. We're eating. We're hanging out. And then as the days go by, we're like, oh, we need to get weed again. And now I'm starting to like look at it. I'm like, what is this stuff? So then the colors interest me, the smells. Because the second time I got weed, it wasn't the same as the first time. So I'm like, what is this plant?
Yeah, and you don't know what you're really getting, right?
I don't know what's going on here. They all have different names.
Yeah.
It's a whole new thing for me. So I'm like, this is so cool. Like, why is this called Jack Herrera? Why does this one make you feel energized? It's like all this stuff is just so interesting. So then I start getting more into it. Crazy part is that summer, a friend of mine told his parents that we were smoking, and I was so scared that I stopped smoking. So I didn't smoke from the 7th grade summer until around my sophomore year of high school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I stopped smoking for that time, and then when I got back in it is when all the strains started coming around. Because the thing is, back in the when I first started, it was only Reggie. It was only like regs and stuff like that. It was like Mexican brickweed and stuff like that. So like you would get a quarter and it'd be like a corner of a brick. It would be hard as a rock. And then when I went back in 2000, when I was in 10th grade, it was like there was all these strains. There was Piff. There was OG Kush. There's all these different names, and I'm like, this is insane. Like, what's going on here? So I really got into it, and then that's when the passion started, because it was like, not everybody has this strain. Oh, I can only get OG Kush from this one person. I can only get Jack Herrera from this person. And then you start getting the purples where you got GDP, you got Grape Ape, you got Purple Urkel. And when the weed started getting purple, it's like, how is this happening? Like, why does this plant look like this?
Was the internet out then?
No,
right? So you had no internet,
yeah,
right?
So
how would you find out? Were there magazines out, or was it just like a word of mouth
and then
type?
It was like, I was just, I knew people that, that were into weed. So like, I would go and talk to them, and I always sought out more information. It was like anybody I talked to, they knew more about weed than me. I had to pick their brain. So then you start understanding how the culture works, and those people that are looking for all these like sought after strains and all these like top growing strains in the game, they all know each other in some way because they're all looking for stuff. And it's like, oh, this person's trading you, OG Kush for Northern Lights, or this person has Sour Diesel because they know someone up in New York. So it's like this plant connects these people from all over the country and all over the world, and they're all looking for the same thing, which is high quality cannabis.
So in the beginning, obviously you're doing it and you're, getting stoned and feeling great and everything. Was there like a transition that once you started to understand a plant that you specifically were taking certain strains for certain things at different times of the day, or?
Oh yeah. For me, it was really important because like I can't take pills at all. So I can't take an Advil.
That's
I can't
just
take
like my daughter.
Tylenol. Yeah, none of that stuff. Like when I broke my leg, like they gave me pain medicine. I couldn't take that. So like I always needed an alternative to, medicine. Like I have stomach problems. So like if I eat certain stuff, my gastro acts up and, my intestines and stuff like that. So it's like if I take cannabis, that eases it. And, it makes easier for digestion or inside my body. So, like, I picked that up pretty early. That, like, I'd get a headache, I would smoke cannabis. Or, like, I start my day with, like, a sativa, like a Jack Herrera, a J1, a XJ13, one of those, varieties of Jack Herrera.
Now, when did you transition? Because you have your own thing going on. But when did it transition where you started to grow stuff for
so
under the radar, obviously,
the growing
and everything?
Aspect happened around 2017.
Okay.
Because I was getting ready to I was thinking about moving to Colorado in 2017. I took a trip out there with my cousin where I went to a bunch of dispensaries. I just tried to read the culture and see what was going on out there because this has always been my passion. And like I never understood the process of how you got that bud until like 2014, 15. And that's when I started with the Weed Bible. My brother gave me the Weed Bible.
That's an incredible book.
I just started reading
Yeah.
it. Yeah. And I went in on that because I was like, I want to understand this process before I actually do it. So then around 2017, I popped my first seed outdoor. And it was grown for a month and a half. And then my mom actually sprayed the garden with weed killer. I'm freaking out. I call my brother. I'm like, yo, Jay, you got to get over here. He don't know too much about weed, but I didn't know who else to call. I get him over here. He comes over. He's like, yeah, that thing is dead. I just need a confirmation from someone else.
Yeah, it's dead.
Yeah, for me, it was like, this thing isn't dead. There's no way I can bring it back somehow. So he let me know it was dead. I was like, all right. I told my mom, I said, Mom. She's like, why are you so upset right now? I said, you killed my weed plant. She said, I didn't know you had one in there. If I knew, I wouldn't have sprayed it.
Now, were your parents were your parents accepted to cannabis when they found out you're using it, or?
My dad has been growing, was growing. My dad passed away 8 years now. He was growing back in the 80s.
Oh, really?
And I know you know the
Did you know that?
I knew that when I was around 17 years old, he told me.
Okay.
When I was 18, I graduated high school. That's the first time I smoked with him.
Okay.
And we used to smoke every night. I'd roll him a joint. We'd sit in the room. We would talk. We'd just hang out. That was like a nightly routine for me after high school. So he grew in the 80s. And that picture, that actual like picture I have that was the original logo, that's a real picture of him in like 85 with that huge bud.
Oh, that's your dad.
Yeah, that's
picture.
My dad. Yeah.
I always thought that was you. I didn't know
a lot
that.
of people, because we look just alike.
Did not
I'm
know
him
that.
With blonde hair. Yeah.
No way.
So the cool thing
that
is,
it was him
what
in
a
story.
The 80s. Yeah. So like he always told me about that picture, and he was like, Frank, I'll show you one day. I'll show you one day. Because I think in the back of his mind, as soon as I seen that picture of him growing weed, I knew I could grow weed.
Yeah.
So once I seen that, and I actually didn't see that till he passed away, I went through, the archives and stuff, and I found that picture. And that's when the brand really came to light. was like, the idea hit me. I was like, this is it.
That is such an
So
awesome
yeah,
story.
so it was around 2017 I popped seeds, and then my first grow didn't go well. That winter, once I knew my mom was cool, you know, she said, "Oh, you should have told me." That hit me like, all right, she'll let me grow weed if I do it. So I started in the house in a little grow. I had a 2x2 tent, no room for the plants I had in there. I had 3 plants in there stuffed in there. I was using this purple light, like all the old growers will know what a purple is. Like they don't use it no more. Now it's actually, recently they found out that in some research that that like color of lighting helps with vegetative growth. But in flower people used to use it and it wasn't like good results. So I grew that way. I had 3 plants. My yields were horrible. Plants grew all the way through, no problems. It was my first time. And then I smoked the weed. It was decent. And I just knew I could get better. And that's what like keeps me passionate about this industry and about this plant is you can always be better. There's always more to learn. You can always push yourself. Something I learned early is someone always has better weed than you out there.
Oh yeah.
And that bar is always being raised. So it's like something nonstop you could chase for your entire life, you know?
Yeah, just having a growth mindset like that, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, you know, you're always growth mindset, you're looking, you're trying to become better. And that's so, so important. You know, when you have that closed mindset, oh, I've got the best, it's so good, you know, and you're not looking, you're not being able to critique your own self, you know, that's where everything stops right there. So
exactly.
Once you got that process, then it's like, it just geometrically grows, right? You get more information, you get better, you want more information, you want to talk to more people.
You could just tweak more stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
And that's what I don't understand. Like some growers are like, I have the best stuff. I only smoke my flower. Well, how can you know if you're not out there trying other people's products, seeing, you know, talking to them, seeing, you know, the way they grow and stuff like that. Because that's the cool thing. Everybody has their own recipe. Everybody does things a little different. And you see it in the flower, you know?
Yeah.
Once you really get down to it.
I find coming from the vegetable industry, I can see a definite parallel with what you're saying in the cannabis industry. When farmers talk to farmers, for the most part, they're like asking like those questions. What are you doing your fertilizer? How you doing this? How you're doing that? And I would say in cannabis, everybody I've met, they want to tell you what they're doing, how to make it better. They want to know what you're doing. But sometimes in the farming, you have guys that are real close lip, you know, I can't give them all my secrets and everything. But that's the only way everybody gets better.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
as much as you might give me something, I can give you something right back that I might think it might not really help him out. But it's like, oh, man, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
You know?
and that's the crazy part because someone told me one of my first days in the grow facility, it don't matter what a person does or what they're doing, you can always learn something from them. Even if it's one small thing, you know, they might do 99 things wrong. They might do one thing really, really well. And if you take that from them on your way and you keep learning along the way, it's endless.
That's why you're on our team. I mean, just first time I met you through dumb luck, through my cousin. I mean, I had no idea what to expect, but I knew after you left the very first time, I'm like, he's going to be on my team at some point, somehow. And I'm just so excited.
No, it's awesome.
I'm going to say this. Every time you walk into the door, it's just for myself, instant smile. You have that kind of personality, and that's just walking into the door. Then I'm like, man, I get to work with Frank all the time. I mean, how awesome is that? And if I feel that, I know everybody that's around us on our team is feeling the same thing, and it's just so contagious.
Oh yeah, that's what I love because you see it. You know what I mean? Like some people, they don't see it, and you see the vision, you see the goals that we're looking to achieve together, and it's going to be great, man.
There's going to be a
The sky's the limit for us.
DeFalco Farms cannabis brand licensed in New Jersey in dispensaries.
Oh yeah, and it's insane. It's crazy just sitting here with you, Chris. I swear, like we've came so far, and like this literally came out of an idea from my head, and it's like it's not like something I like tried to push. It's like it's all authentic. It all happened organically. it's all like family. Like, look how we met. You met through my cousin, through your cousin. You know what I mean? And my cousin Corey, she's like another one of my sisters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's crazy how it all works. And like family's something that I'm really, that's really important to me, that I care about deeply. And like to name the brand DeFalco Family Farm, like that was the perfect name.
And maybe I have a different philosophy, and it's kind of crazy to maybe other growers and other companies and things like that. But why would I want to say, this is what my brand is? I paid some kind of branding expert to do this, when I have a person that's so passionate to their own brand. I don't care what it's called. Now I have someone who is tied to that name, that has been building that. And if I could just let them go, think of how much better that brand's going to be, because there's such an awesome story. What is the story behind me if I created a brand? I'm not even a cannabis guy. I mean, how's that going to resonate with anybody who's smoking cannabis? It's like, it's stupid, in my opinion.
That's what a lot of the brands miss, They don't know the authenticness of it, and like how much that feeling of, someone that's really passionate, someone that loves what they're doing, and someone who's just trying to, get the brand out there and build something special is going to, move in every aspect of, the brand building and everything that comes with it.
I was talking to someone recently, randomly, and I can't remember who, and I brought up your name and said, man, you got to meet one of my growers. He's awesome. His name's Frank DeFalco. And he's like, Frank DeFalco? He makes chocolate bars, right? And I was like, yeah, they're good. He's like, they are the best chocolate bars I ever had. I don't know, 300 milligrams, I don't know, whatever. I would just come home, take a little piece off, put it in, and it was the best. And I'm like, I didn't even know. I just brought up your name, and I'm like, this is crazy. And this, you're in Wildwood, right? And this is up in my area.
Yeah, it's crazy how fast it grows. You know what I mean? Like 5 years flew by for me, and like, everything, like I said, it was all organic. So like I met people, I went up to the grow, I worked there. I said, here guys, here, take a shirt, here, take a sticker, Anytime I possibly could, I gave back to people too. And that's the real important thing about this brand, is like, the main reason of this brand is to help people and to get them the quality product that they deserve. Because I was seeing all these, low quality products, all these people trying to use cannabis as medicine, and they're getting, the worst of it. They're getting the distillate. They're getting everything that strips all the plant components that also have different factors that are going to help you out and alleviate pain and alleviate stress and different things, that are all going to help you. And it wasn't there in the market. And like, this was never a thing to like be big because, I wanted, this brand to be big. It was always, I wanted to help people. There's countless people out there who I just gave edibles to, that were dealing with cancer, that were sick, that had something going on. Because at the end of the day, this plant's here to help people. And that's why we're all in this industry.
It takes a special person to take that approach, right? I mean, a lot of these companies, unfortunately, they don't take that approach. You worked in a multi-state operator, a big company, and then when I walked into one of the vendors, I'm going to bring on Cushy Labs, and what a phenomenal place. You haven't been in there.
People.
Phenomenal.
Yep.
Your sticker is on their refrigerator. And as they were talking, it was the hardest thing to not interrupt. And I'm like, how do you know Frank DeFalco? Frank, how do you know Frank? I hired him. He's on our team. We work together. He's awesome. So it's like, they are so passionate. And I was like, that was just so confirmation. I'm like, I'm glad I got Frank. And now with their, like, we have your DeFalco, right? And we can now partner with them. They do white labeling, right? So we can grow, we can work. And so now people that you worked with at another company, now they're working at a secondary company. You're working at a secondary company. And now you can work together in the passions you probably talked about when you're working for this big MSO.
Oh, yeah. When we're sitting in the garden, we all talked about it. That's the crazy part. Like, shout out Montana,
Anthony.
Rob, shout out Anthony. Yeah, all of them at Cushy Labs. They do great work. They're great people. Like, they taught me a lot of things. Like, going back to, you can learn anything off anybody. Montana's one of the first people that I sat in the garden with, and I sat next to her, and she taught me about, veg, and how veg is like the building block for flower, and how you get that structure from them plants, and you want that nice, strong plant going into flower, so you don't have branches falling over because they're not strong enough to hold up those big buds you're growing. So it's like, all them people, like, they're all good friends of mine, and I built great relationships with all of them. And there's so many other people in the industry that you haven't met that I want to bring in, and it'll be cool having this podcast because all these people are behind the scenes and they're putting in all the legwork.
Yeah.
And it'll be good to get a face, with the product.
Anthony was here last week with Holly. They're launching a brand called Abundant Leaf. She's like a cancer survivor and everything.
Oh, awesome.
And they're going to be doing it at Cushy Labs. But that's what I was explaining. It's like Anthony is such a smart individual that without something like this, the consumer would never be able to be in touch with that person.
Oh, yeah.
And you're not, the consumer's
It's
not going to be able to.
bridging gaps. Yep.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. It's bridging gaps. It's connecting, and it's showing like the science and everything that's behind the brand, not just the name, but everything that goes into it to bring you a pharmaceutical grade quality, something you can put in your system and give you that desired result. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's amazing. And that's the good thing because, like, a brand is only a brand until you give it that personality, you put someone behind it. And there is someone behind every single brand. But, for us growers especially, we're spending 90% of our time inside the garden, just to give you that quality product. Because at the end of the day, these plants are alive. So
and nobody knows about you. All they do, like when you were working for the MSO, all they knew was the name of the company and the name of the brand.
Yep.
But all the people, like you said, putting in 7 days a week, all those hours, loving those plants, and then being told, well, we have to do it this way. You have to do it that way. You have to cut corners there. And then you're like, well, this isn't the quality. I mean, it's going against everything that I'm about. I love this plant so much, but yes, I am in the industry. I'm appreciative for that, but it's got to be kind of difficult too.
Oh, that's the hardest fight of all, because you know what the plant needs, and especially once you start getting experience and you start really getting into it, you really know what the plant needs at every step of the way. So it's like you watch these people, for lack of a better term, disrespect the plant, and it's like, what the plant needs, and you got to sit there and eat it, because at the same time, this isn't your company. It's ran corporately. There's 15 people before you even talk to the person that's in charge of the whole garden that can make that call. So these plants are just suffering. And when you're at the MSOs, you see a lot of that because they're more trying to push quantity instead of quality. And when you push quantity, you just want them numbers and they don't care about the quality. And then at the end of the day, the consumer isn't getting that full, the full product. They're getting a watered down version of it because the plant can't get everything it needs to produce the flower that it's known to produce.
Definitely.
So it's a hard game, because that was the toughest thing for me, because I knew what the plants needed. My plants at home look beautiful. And they're alive, so you see them, you see them looking sad.
Yep.
And then that whole vibe carries over into the workers. Your coworkers start feeling like you don't feel as happy, because you can ask any grower, when you walk into a nice healthy grow room, you just get this nice feeling of calmness and relaxation. It's crazy.
Yeah, and then you're doing your own thing at home, right? And then it's like, well, man, I would love to be in the legal industry and do this. And you're like, there is no fucking way. It is so hard
it's
to
so
do that.
hard.
So much money,
Chris,
so hard.
2020, I'm watching all the CRC meetings. I'm waiting for the rules and regulations to drop. They drop. I'm like, this isn't that expensive. The licensing ain't bad. And then I get into it. I'm like, no average guy like me can ever have a grow.
Yes. I know.
And the funny thing is, the way I built the brand was the way I wanted to build it. Everything with this brand I've built, it was a legal brand. I was bringing it to scale without having it at scale.
Yeah.
So my goal was, I knew a grow was not possible for me at the time, or to do it by myself, because the price it costs to build a grow is insane.
Yeah. I mean, we'll tell the story at some point, but Steve and I, when we went into this industry, we made a lot of sacrifices, and we really put our farming business at risk. I mean, we took almost everything we had in the bank and to get the license, to get started, to get all that. And even when we got the license, we couldn't get the money, right? It was just, putting money into a grow is a lot of money and it's a lot of risk for an investor. And I totally understood that, but it just all started to work out. The right people started to pop up. The laws started to change. And we were just fortunate that the tomato business has stayed consistent for us, where, we got in the mindset we could still run the business with week to week, maybe get a little money and start to build the kitty back up a little bit. But going through the process, I can just see it's set up for a big company to come in and do it. It's as much as they want to set it up for the small guy, which is very noble. It's extremely difficult. I mean,
it's so
a cannabis lawyer, a good one, you're talking $500 an hour.
Yeah. And that's just
read a document for a couple hours, right? And there's $2,000.
Yeah. And how many growers have that saved up? You know what I mean? And that was my thing. So at first I was like, let me start with the edibles. If we can get the edibles in there, maybe I can rent out a kitchen inside of a facility. And then I can, build up money and then, eventually maybe find investors who want to, help me open a grow. Yeah. Because my goal was never to be, this huge grow, big corporate, commercial. Like, I wanted to keep it small. I want to keep it, very craft, you know what I mean? And keep the quality at the forefront. Yeah, and it's like, well, if we went through, let us be the ones that go through the process to get bloodied up and get that license. And then I'm thinking in the back of my head, man, if I got someone like Frank and I can let him have his own brand, I now have the passion, the drive, and everything about that. I don't have to artificially kind of build that and hope that this employee is going to be that person. And then if I can say, you know what? I'm also going to give you a percentage of all the packages that you're going to sell off your brand. It's like you now have a business within the license industry that you would never have an opportunity for. And it's just, we got bloodied up, but it's just thinking out of the box, that couple extra layers of steps. And I think it's going to pay off dividends for everybody and for the customers, just all around. And that's what I am so excited. I'm so excited to see what you're going to be able to create in the future that I have no idea about. And you just teach us and you say, this is what we need. This is what I'm going to do. Give me this machinery. Let's go at it. Or if we can't afford the machinery, where could we go to get this done? I don't know. Let's go find out together. Figure it out. And that's the best part, dude. That's why I'm so excited, because you're ready to give full autonomy. You're letting me do my thing my way, like, and that's what you don't find in the industry. And it's tough for someone to do that, Like most people, they want to be in front. They want to take charge. They want to tell you what to do. And it's like, my brand is my brand because, I do things my way. And it's crazy to find someone like you that's just ready. I was talking about this the other night with my wife, and I was trying to explain it to her. She didn't understand. She's like, you can't let people do whatever they want. You can't run a business. I said, I'm not letting people do what they want. We're sitting down and we're talking about what they want, but we're doing it together. We're planning it together. They're telling me their dream, and then we're as a group are hashing it out, the best way to do it, how to do it, and how to make it happen. And maybe on the surface you're like, yeah, that's free reign, but no, it's not free reign. No. It's planned out free reign, and it's funny how I understood it, right? I understand clear as day. It's like, no, you can't do that. I'm like, get out of corporate America for one quick second here, okay? Oh yeah, and that's how it's going to work, and that's how it's going to prosper, because it's not like completely free. There's still, there's still lines. Guidelines, exactly. There's still lines to stay, focused on what the goal is, but you're giving people the opportunity to, give their ideas out and do what they, not fully do what they want, but do what they want to a point where their brand's going to be their brand. Yep. And it isn't going to be a shadow of what they want. And at the end of the day, people feel this, like, it's an experience, with smoking, with going to the store, especially this store. there's just so much you could do in one place. You got the wellness center.
We're going to
you
have
got the
live
coffee.
music in the dispensary. Live music in the dispensary. Who have seating? You come in, get and just hang
crazy.
out while,
Yeah.
while you're shopping. You got live music playing. I mean, come on.
You can't beat that. And that's what this industry is about. Everybody wants to be happy. Everybody wants to chill. Everybody wants to be accepted. And like, this is the perfect place for it because there's something for everyone here.
If this thing takes off within the next 6 months and everything plans out, I want to buy that lot right next to me. It got subdivided, and I'm like, I can do so many things in that lot and get some additional parking.
Oh,
have
yeah,
little
we can
festival.
have huge events. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be cool. And that's the best part. We're
So
starting
if you
fresh.
own that piece of property, do not sell it before you come talk to us.
Come talk to Chris.